You know you love it. You know you love it. Welcome
Mm.
to episode 420 of Hobby Think Tank. I am
420B.
420B. Okay.
It's two-parter. We won't do the first part.
Well, it's not a lot to be revealed.
Okay.
I'm Danny. That's John. We are mid conversation and we just started hitting record, so excuse us for not doing a big introduction. We're here. We're talking cards.
And it's cold on the East Coast, as you can tell.
See, so we both got the official hoodie,
Mm-hmm.
which is also, I think, really a tribute to Bill Belichick's time.
I got sleeves, bro.
Right.
Real men wear sleeves.
That's funny. But you came up with a pretty cool topic, but I think I took a different perspective on it today than maybe you did, and it's fads in the hobby, past, present, future. And I guess it depends on how you and I each define what a fad is. And it's FAD, not FAT. Where this is not a Cecil Fielder conversation.
Up there you go. What if somebody just chimed in? Danny Black, the Danny
Right.
Black hotline is on
It
fire.
was Cecil Fielder all pissed off.
Hey, real quick on that. That's one of the funnest stats in baseball. Cecil Fielder and Prince Fielder finished with the same amount of home runs.
Yeah, but yeah, I heard they had a sad, not great relationship.
Yeah, kind of like you and I.
Well, we also have hit the exact same amount of major league home runs.
Yeah, and we have the same amount of war, which matters.
So I'm going to let you open this because this is kind of your show. I started talking, but this is your ball game.
Oh, I am a vintage, primarily collector type person, meaning more so in style than in substance. I have more modern cards than vintage cards by far, but I cling to the old days and long for the old days when people collected sets and base cards meant something. And I've joked that base cards are essentially packing peanuts at this point, but I think it's gotten far worse because we're seeing reductions and stuff like that. So fads, trends, all that stuff, we've seen a lot of it, and we like to discount some of the older collectors. And they've seen a lot of stuff, and they've seen a lot of things come and go. We've seen the PVC 9-pocket sleeves that have ruined cards. We've seen the card lockers, right? The card killers, or that I call. You used to put your cards in these little plastic lockers and carry them around.
The screw down.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the little plastic. They were like lockers. Yeah, and little slots to put your teams in, and they would beat the crap out of it, right? The screw downs. We've seen a lot. So, and I like to say I've said it too much, but I haven't said it recently. I don't have any good ideas, but I certainly can smell a bad idea from a mile away, and I feel like we've had a lot of bad ideas lately, maybe in the hobby, and maybe they're more recognized because they stand out more. But I also, it's the old axiom: if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And we see a lot of these things. And people dive all in. And I'm going to tell you, the NFTs, the fractionals, the slab protectors, like slabs by definition are protectors, yet we're going to do slab protectors because we have to play with our slabs so much that we have to protect our slabs.
And I did color match just to piss you off more.
That was a big thing. Maybe it still is, and I don't know, but it's stuff like that. Like, there are so many neat things out there that do add to your experience and do help you, and aren't necessarily just a mechanism to get you to separate you from your money. We joke about Pelican cases and all these other cases, but I mean, they have a function. Obviously, they have a function that people enjoy and protect their valuable slabs, and that's great. It's understandable, and people will use them when they go to shows. They use them at home to store their cards, which I think is, I'm not part of that. I've been using Pelican cases for years, but not for my cards. So I get it. It's a wonderful product, but there's, again, protecting your slabs to me seems just like, how many times are we going to stick our thumbs in our eyes and just keep doing stuff just to do stuff? And then we're going to have protectors to protect our slab protectors soon. And it's just silly, man. We have a lot of people jumped all in on some things, and that's my monologue. But maybe we can dive deeper into some things, and maybe you can follow up with some stuff. Let us have something.
Well, I agree with you. My Bowl PSA 10 probably does not need a necklace, a 3D thing around it. But
A leather
a good,
jacket. I know a guy that's got a leather jacket for his 1951 Mickey Mantle that lives in a safe. It's
oh, that's
dressed like
awesome.
Fonzie. It's dressed like Fonzie, and it never goes to
Hey,
Arnold. It never goes to Arnold. So, yeah, I
hmm,
mean, like,
yeah. So,
when's it going to be about the cards again instead of
well,
the
that's how I
silly?
looked at it. So I looked at it as fads from the card perspective. So I'm going to start with, we're starting with the past, or I'm starting with the past. The ghost of Christmas past, okay, brought us cards to sell bubblegum.
Yeah,
And that is a
exactly.
fad
Yeah,
that is a fad
yeah,
that is past. We
yeah,
are
for
no
sure.
longer need cards to sell bubblegum.
Yeah, I've
Um,
thought about that. You're absolutely right. I've thought about that, and I'm like, well, cards were lures to begin with, and it's still lures for something else.
Absolutely, but for the innocence of bubblegum, and maybe it's because I'm a vintage fan also. So and I think every time we do a show, I end up bringing it up. But the Bubblegum Wars,
Hmm.
it's worth reading, and
Yep, sure
that
is.
was a special time in our hobby. And
Right.
we look back now, and we look at the certain sets that we love, certain players that are available, certain sets, and some that weren't. But it was all to sell bubblegum.
So what are we selling now? Like,
So that's the
I
past for me. That
okay.
yeah. So
So,
you want to say the present?
well, I've said this to people and that I chat with, and um, everybody's guilty because the idea right now, and it always has been, just not on this level, but there was never a cottage industry around cards. It was just cards and gum, right?
Yep.
And then in the 70s, we got these. Sorry, that's my dog. We got these, like I said, the PVC protect. The industry grew in the 80s and all that fun stuff for many decades, and a lot of stuff you and I collect. There was no cottage industry around cards. It was just cards.
Yep.
Now we've gotten away from that, and we're being, I tell people that we as a hobby are being told what to collect and how to collect and all that stuff. And yeah, there are very few innovations out there. You run an operation where you take advertising from within the industry. A lot of content creators do, but a lot of content creators get behind stuff without really knowing what it is, and then perpetuate some of this nonsense. And I am talking about NFTs, and I am talking about fractionals. Fractionals was never a brilliant idea on so many different levels, and I
So
assume, yeah,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
and I you don't hear much from it anymore, but that doesn't mean it doesn't still happen. But I know there's a lot of people that were in the fractional business that have moved on from the fractional business, and I'm talking about the people that kind of promoted it the most and kind of came up with and founded some of these companies, and now they're out of that sector. So you know,
Well, I will
it,
say what my view on fractional is. I think Rally is still doing okay, but other companies that you're talking about, I think at the peak of the market, when you properly evaluate a price of an item, um, it's hard to evaluate at the peak of a market because if anything shifts, everything collapses. And
yes, but it does. It counters the spirit of a hobby and all that stuff when it's strictly to.
so,
I don't care what people
do you
say about
remember?
owning a fractional of a something something. It isn't the same as owning a card, and it never
I,
will be.
I agree with you completely. And to me, the fun was more of uh, the uniqueness of an item was fun to me for $5 or $10.
Yeah,
Um,
you know how many fractional airplanes I owned from TWA before they went under, and I was left holding the bag? Yeah, it's like,
can you
people
add
just
them up to one whole plane or
no, not at all. I barely
no?
owned a cushion, and, but still, it was but, I mean, like, you could see that coming, right? Like,
Oh,
You know,
I cashed out.
it's
I cashed
and
out well before.
these aren't tangible assets. You can't sell a if the market crashes,
Yep.
if TWA goes under because their management sucks and they have too many pension obligations and stuff like that, they can sell airplanes, which they ended up doing in bankruptcy court. But like, there's tangible assets there. Cards are just meant to be
Well, there was
collected.
certain people that were considered hobby personalities that would always give you the thing, and loan the money on the cards, and
Right. Yep.
you
Yep.
know,
Yeah. I
and,
mean, where are we
and-
at now? Right. Where are we at with the
right.
card on margin? Is that still a thing?
Very, very few and far between. And I will tell you,
Okay.
the people I've talked to, the evaluations on the cards are nowhere near the prices you want.
Right. So
Yeah,
over your shoulder there, your slab protectors, that's like all that, that's whatever that is, $10, $15, $20. Not a huge deal.
I'd like to think Rated Guard. They are fantastic. I'm very happy with the product.
At least you have something. Okay. Even though I believe it's a redundant, I believe if you're playing with your slabs that much, then you're the one that probably needs to be wrapped up in bubble wrap instead of your cards, because you're probably driving around with a lot of dents in your Honda Odyssey and stuff like that. You're probably doing a lot in your life wrong if you have
Toyota
to.
RAV4, and that was
And you
way too
wrap,
freaking close. Okay.
yeah, your Prius. But at least that's something you have to show. Maybe you say 5 years from now, wow, I blew a couple six packs on these. You won't be able to say that with NFTs, or you won't be able to say that with some of the other things. So anyway, that's bad ideas from the get-go, but there's getting back to kind of what I was saying about how we're being told to collect, and base cards are everybody's jacked up right now about Series 1, and I don't know why, because they're all but 99% of those base cards are going to be treated like
Yep.
orphans in Calcutta by the hobby. They will mean nothing to anybody. Yet we're all
Specifically
jacked up.
Calcutta.
Calcutta, yeah,
Yeah,
Kalkota, I think it is.
yeah.
Calcutta. By the way, Lion is one of the greatest movies ever made. If you haven't seen Lion, go get some of that. I nearly cried
Oh,
while we're in the Asian subcontinent. So
okay.
that's an endorsement from me. But like we're talking about again, and we're talking about base cards. Base cards are the bubble gum of back in the day, or we used to throw the gum out, or the gum was gone, right? Either we chewed it or threw it away. It's going to be base cards, and why are we at a point right now where base cards are uh, essentially worth nothing?
So,
Yet we're
so I
so
heard
worried about base cards,
I
Series
heard a
1.
great idea.
What's that?
Somebody DM'd me, and the idea was essentially some form of the buyback program if you complete the set.
So they made the set bigger and they made the pack smaller, right?
But if you can collect the set, you can trade it in at your local card shop, like the
For
MVP buyback program, for I don't know, $50 credit, $40 credit. I don't
how
know what they
much
give you.
time does it take? How much of your time does it take
But
to
but what is
collate a
it?
set?
But what does that do to base cards?
I
Now
don't
all of a
know.
sudden,
They're well. I'll put it this way, Danny. Without doing the math, because I suck at math and I'm very tired right now from several time zone changes in the past 48 hours. The advantage isn't to the collector, as we know. If we're doing that, it's benefiting fanatics 4 or 5 times much as it's benefiting the collector. The collector may
right.
feel like they're having a nice little moral victory there, but we know who's going to win. Very few of these programs are conceived to benefit the collector, right?
So my fad of the present is very similar, and this is something you and I agree on thoroughly. False scarcity, um,
hmm
or manufactured
Con-
scarcity.
I called it manufactured, but Dr. Jim corrected me by calling it contrived, which yeah,
Contrived scarcity.
right.
We'll go with whatever Dr. Jim says.
Yep.
Contrived scarcity, and I think we're in the junk slab era.
Well,
People
we've been there
people are
for a
getting
while. We know that, right?
yeah, but it seems to be getting worse, not better. Uh,
Right. So
So those are two fads that I'd like to see kind of move on.
what
Uh,
I'm laying this really broad backstory when I shouldn't, but it leads me to my next thing, or to the next thing, is the base cards are there so that we can get the hits in the packs, and those are autos. Now these are autos that, again, 99% of these autos 5 years from now will be in the quarter box or the dime box. They will be as you're,
didn't Billy Joel say that?
what? Can you quote that for me?
Um, I am the entertainer. I know just
Oh,
where I stand. Uh, something, something, something. I'll end up in the nickel dime box in the
dime
back.
box.
Or, yeah,
Gotcha. Well, maybe he did.
it's
Uh,
been a minute.
It's yeah, but, my point being is we're, we are, relics and hankies and autos for things that don't matter anymore. Those are now the base cards, right? Because the base
Yep.
cards are just packaging or protection. And that, we just keep going along. Fanatics or Panini are telling you how to, spend your money, and what matters is first to market, right? So pre-order your series one so you can get it a day ahead of somebody else, so you get your stuff on eBay before the other person gets their stuff on eBay.
And
Otherwise, why does it matter? Why do you have to pre-order series one?
well,
It'll be on the
well,
shelf
I was
for
about to
the
say,
next 8 months, right?
what do you get out of it?
I
Like
don't
you said,
know.
it's
Me,
filler.
or what does a collector get? It's filler, but it's generated hype and contrived.
I
Uh,
would say if I had a key player on my team or a PC, there's something about collecting the top space run that I do respect.
right, but why do you have to do it? I feel that, and we're going to use the B word here eventually, but we've created a market where you have to have it. The breakers will go crazy when they have the series one in hand, and they will sell stuff at a premium, and then the floor will drop out, and those cards will be worth a fraction of what they were 3 months from now,
Once again,
right?
you don't want a fraction.
Fraction, exactly. Yeah, I hate math. So, but my point being is, we're being told that we need that stuff right now, and we don't need it right now because Series One will be on the shelves for many, many months, right?
Sadly, yep,
And then Series Two will be on the shelf. And I've learned through folks wiser than myself to just buy the set, because I don't care about the parallels. The parallels are just knockoffs of the base set for the most part. So who cares? I don't care about SSP or SP or
I'd rather
anything
just
like
buy
that.
the card I want.
Well, that's great. Yeah, and I think that applies more so to other sets than to the flagship set, right? Because everybody will just buy. If you want the flagship, you buy the flagship set. But you're right. Why chase cards if you can buy those cards for $12 a pop instead of for $80 for a box trying to find it, right? Or 15
Yep.
bucks a pop or 20 bucks.
Or even the breakers, you're paying more a lot of times, to get into the breaks. They're so high.
So, breakers, you're more in tune with that than I am. I'm not saying you break more than I am. You just you know about it more than I do. What I see there is just a marketing arm, because there's a lot of rumors abounding that they get the hot boxes and all that stuff, and I don't care enough to dig into that. There's a lot of armchair investigators out there doing that. So, they seemed like it was the wild wild west, but it seems that by um, the manufacturers are able to tame that and reel that in by their allocations, and it seems like they're able to control that market now, as opposed to
Michael
everybody being on their own, right?
Well, Michael Rubin gave an interview. He said he believed there was three prongs of distribution to get cards in the market in the future, the way they fanatics looked at it: local card shops, big market retail, and breaking. So he's looking at that equal to the other two, as far as getting cards into the marketplace. So to your point, they're getting a lot of product. Um,
What were
it's
the options before that?
Well, I think a
It's
lot of
big retail, right? In the
I think a
hobby
lot of
shop.
thing went through I think everything went through distributors.
Yeah,
I
I
think they
got you. I got you. Well,
um,
distributors feed the LCSs and
I
the
think
Targets and the
I
Walmarts
think
and
they're
all
gonna
that?
be streamlined a lot more. Fanatics, one of the things they do well is the back end,
Well, you and I don't
supply
care
chain.
about that. Most people don't the hobbyist doesn't care whether a box costs $80 with a distributor in there or whether a box costs $80 without a distributor, right?
But I'd rather
You
my
and I don't
local
care.
card shop make more money on it because there's no distributor.
Well, yes, you're absolutely right, but with that said, do we really, Fanatics is not in the business of, they're not running a charity. So
No.
if they find an efficiency where they can cut somebody out and they're not gonna pass that savings on to an LCS, I believe. That
Well,
they
or
may make the
it's more
LCS have
margin for them.
well, where the benefit to the LCS is the ease of obtaining product, right? Which is
Yeah.
great. I think every LCS would probably, boy, this maybe I'm wrong, but an LCS would probably want better access to product than a slightly better margin on some products, right? They'd probably like to have the menu in their hand and order whatever they want to order and how much they want to order, as opposed to, you know, whatever. It seems to me like I would guess every LCS would want that, would want ease of product. Um,
I'm a big fan of LCSs. In my area here, we don't have a ton. So, I'd like to see more LCSs do well.
and that's a tough thing
They're
because
very tough businesses.
it is a tough business, but my LCS is relatively new, and I've got a wonderful relationship with my LCS. Uh, with that said, there are a lot of LCSs that were grinding it out in the dark ages of the hobby or a dark period of the hobby for about 20 years.
Yep.
And I always thought, you know, hopefully they did well in the pandemic, but it sucks that they were still manipulated by distributors during the pandemic and stuff like that. So I'd like to, I'm all for everybody getting product, but I'm also sensitive to the fact that a lot of these folks did a lot of tough work for many, many years, um, and had to grind it out. So that to me is worth something as well. Maybe they're at the front of the line, but who can tell? There's been so many changes in, does Fanatics follow the laundry list that Tops had and all that? Like, do they know who's been around for a while? It's probably not because, as you said, it seems like they're favoring the breakers. Um,
I mean, I'm rarely the tinfoil hat guy. I am the person who believes there's a logical solution somewhere for everything. The disproportionate amount on social media that seems to come for breakers, I don't know if that's because other hits are not getting the same publicity. You
right.
know, Johnny in his basement might hit a great card and nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
and so I'm torn between the logical part of my head saying, that it does distribute evenly, and there's just so many breakers out there, and they have marketing. I mean, that's what they have to do is they want to
Hmm.
show that if you break with them, you have a chance. So they
Right.
market their hits more.
And
I'm
there's a
torn
lot of
between that.
conspiracy theorists in our
Yeah.
hobby as well. So yeah, I mean that's a
And
great
so I'm
point.
torn between that and the fact that it seems like they're getting hot boxes, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't like we continue to express faux uh surprise and shock that some of the things that happen, you know. As we know, there's as long as you have, your name in somebody's ear, then you're doing fine, whether that's good or bad. And that's going to continue. These manufacturers are going to continue to either screw up or screw up on purpose. And that's how they generate hype these days. I mean, they're generating hype by contriving Tom Brady cards or another fad is
How about
well, not the
the
buybacks,
Babe
but
Ruth?
the bounties, right? Like you have to
Definitely.
be, you have to be. We're at a point in our hobby where we have to be bribed into opening boxes, right? Because they
Well,
don't want boxes sitting on the shelves. They want you to keep opening stuff, right?
and if you really want my tinfoil hat, I would say the companies that are offering the bounties are not the ones that would pay the money.
Yeah.
There's my other tinfoil hat theory.
Yeah, I don't know,
It's
man.
good
It's
marketing.
yeah. Is sealed wax going to be a thing moving forward? Do you think?
Well, there you go. We need a fad for the future to close us out today.
Are we
So
done already? I'm just getting
we're
started.
I know you and I could do 3
What
hours, but
about before we get on that? There's some that's not sexy sealed wax. But what about the Men Collective? Remember, the Men Collective was going to turn everything on its upend everything, just like everybody's saying. Not everybody, but people are saying about Fanatics is going to run the shows and stuff like that. You know, every people are all in. They're enjoying that. I mean, maybe it makes for maybe we're turning into CNN and Fox News where we like to talk about all these crazy schemes, but like none of that makes sense again. Again, I don't know any good ideas, but I know the bad ideas, and the bad ideas were these national level promoters like whatever Live Nation and stuff like that getting in the card game. Just card collectors just want to be left alone to do their thing for the most part.
we do.
Uh,
We're
yeah,
antisocial as a group.
yeah. I mean, the secondary market is undefeated, always will be, and
I like that. I'm still in that.
yeah, undefeated. And these these companies have to figure it out, man. They can't like the 10x thing. Was that Luber that said 10x, or was that Ruben?
I think it was Rubin, or it
Okay,
could have been the white paper from Luber, but in
okay,
either
yeah.
case, yeah,
Either way, like we have to. That has to. We have. I just talked about it, but that's not going to happen. We're not going to grow. We're not going to have a 10x healthy hobby. Okay, there's going to be bodies in the street by the bounties, by
it
the
was one of those
millions
quotes.
of autograph cards that nobody cares about anymore and stuff like that. It's a transitory thing. If you think the people that 10x the hobby are going to be transitory, so you better come up with next man up. There better be people behind them with money in their hands, ready to waste it. Just poker saw it, the shoe
Well,
game saw it, and sports cards is going to see it. How many
well,
people are playing poker now? Not as many as there were 20 years ago.
how many people are smoking cigars? I miss my cigars.
I don't smoke cigars, man.
They were so hot for a while. There were cigar
People
shops.
still do it. People,
I
yeah, you're right though.
that was a fad for a while. That
Yeah,
peaked.
but
Um,
but like people, the next big, how many fewer people are flipping houses these days than there were 15 years ago. It's
well,
like,
that might depend where you live. Yeah,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like money, 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 money. The Big Short. This is my second cinematic recommendation of the the evening. The Big Short was all about artificial markets, and the cards aren't that different than the housing market from back in the day. You talked about grading. There's a reason why there's base card specials, because
yeah.
otherwise you wouldn't be grading base cards for the most part, right? Who's sending in 100 different base cards, 1 through 99? I'm sorry, 1 through 100. Who's sending in all of those to get graded because it's $2 cheaper or $5 cheaper? It's still like they're they're bamboozling you out of your money when the base card special rolls into town.
Well, I always laugh when I go to a card show and I see a base card graded, and I'm thinking, yeah, you did the special.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and you know what, Danny, that and they have it on sale. They think they doing you a favor. Could cost $12 to grade, but it's only $8. It's still a 25-cent card, right?
Yeah,
With
exactly.
an $8 box around it. So
It's a
if you
beautiful
think
picture frame.
if you
Right.
think you're getting a deal because you're paying $8 and it cost them $12 to grade it, it's still a 25-cent card. So who's the
Okay.
fool there?
So I'm going to give my fad for the future, and it's going to be slightly different because I'm going to look at the whole memorabilia sports cards as one hobby. I think Fanatics, because of their connections, you're going to see a lot more player involvement at every level, from autographs to fan experiences to be able to tie in with merchandise on the field. We've already seen the debut patches. I just think it's going to move so much more into bringing the players back into the hobby, or maybe for the first time have them into the hobby at all. I think that will be a future fad. I don't know that lasts forever.
I think that will be artificial gratification, because if you're paying somebody to give you the time of day, you're paying for an escort. It's a gigolo, right? Whether it's an autograph, a handshake, whatever. It's a transaction, and uh, that is, buy yourself a house. Don't stay. It's the difference between staying in a hotel and buying a house. One's a home and one's not, and that's the way it is with that stuff. You're not making memories. You say you're making memories, but you're paying. You're paying for temporary gratification, and I think that's sad that's going to I agree with you, that's probably where we're gonna be. Meet and greets, right? Remember meet and
Yep.
greets from the rock and roll shows?
Yep.
These bands make so much money off of meet and greets, and you're
Yeah,
one of
that's
500
true.
people in line. How special are you? Uh, that's the old timer me. I was, I'll tell a quick story of my favorite baseball player of all time. I've never stood in line for his autograph. I don't really care about his autograph. Thankfully, I do have it. But when I was 13 years old and I went to Fenway Park and stood in the first row before the game, and Carl Yastrzemski came to this top step 15 feet away from me, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and that was enough for me. I didn't ask for his autograph. I've never asked for his autograph since then. That was enough for me. That's my memory, as opposed to waiting in line with 500 other people to, uh, you know, just talk about a player who's getting paid to smile and wave.
I'm not sure if you're 8 years old if it matters.
Um, yeah, I mean that's a good point, but
Think how long
there's a
you wait
lot
in
of
line.
8 year olds with 38 waistlines and hairy backs. They act like 8 year olds, but they're 48-year-olds, and
No, it's a good point, but
they're
think
the
about
ones
how
with the
long
money.
people wait in line to see Mickey Mouse at Disney World. They'll wait 3 hours.
Really? You guys are suckers, man. Not
They
me. Not my
the whole
people.
thing. That's a racket. We'll get into that another time.
Yeah,
You
for
got-
sure.
I've got 3 kids, and that whole thing's a racket.
Yeah. Good luck.
Um,
You and your Honda Odyssey loaded up, headed to the Magic Kingdom, man. I don't know how you do
well,
it.
I might as well just go back and get another minivan like we used to have.
Yeah, yeah. But I do I rage against that machine, because autographs used to be a memorable. The only thing that was exchanged was a piece of paper, and you got an autograph in return. You can't do that anymore for the most part. Maybe if you hang out at spring training, get lucky, all that stuff. But they've taken that away from us, because we have told them we'll pay a lot of money for it.
Well, and let's be honest, if you've ever been to a baseball game before first pitch, there are a lot of adults acting like children in the stadium trying to get autographs.
Yeah, and it's great because baseball came up with a way to kind of keep them away by putting nets all the way down the baselines, right? So it's brilliant,
They
right?
still
Oh,
try
I
to
can't.
shove
The
it
net's right there.
through.
Yeah. So,
Right.
these guys don't even need to, they don't even need to have that direct interaction. You can buy a Nolan Arenado baseball at the St. Louis Cardinals baseball stadium, or at the Major League Baseball store in New York and stuff like that, without ever having to, you
Well,
know,
now it's
it,
branded the Fanatic store. Oriole Park now has a Fanatic store.
good. I mean, I don't begrudge Fanatics. I never have begrudged Fanatics, because they're a business.
Yep.
They're a swag business. Their business is to sell swag. It's not, nothing else is in their DNA is to separate you from your money, obviously. But
Yeah.
stuff like autographs used to not be a financial transaction. Um, and now that is, and we have no choice. I've never been an autograph collector, thankfully, but those who are have no choice but to pay. And then you have to pay for the best of the best. I need a signed base. I don't need a signed ball. So,
Yep.
or a shin guard. I see, there's people walking out of baseball games with chest protectors, shin guards, and masks that they bought in the team store, right?
It's true.
They look like
Like
they're
I took
going to
you
a
to watch
Gwar
Shooter
concert.
one day. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Look, honey, I imagine that transaction when they get home, and the wife says, "What the hell is that?" "It's my shin guards, my chest protector, and we're gonna hang it in the living room. It's gonna hang right
Right,
up
right.
there," you know?
We're gonna put it on the ceiling above the bed, Dave.
Yeah, we continue to shoot ourselves in the foot as hobbyists. Most of us contain our stuff to a certain area of the home, but,
We're
yeah, like,
idiots.
we're
I
idiots.
mean, as a group, we really are, and
Yeah.
self included here.
Bring back the bullpen carts. I would buy a bullpen cart. Like,
That's there
and
you
I
go.
would buy one of those, and I would
With the
take the heat
helmet.
from a with the big helmet, a baseball with a
Yep.
helmet. I would take the heat at home for that, but come on, man, you don't need to dress up like a you don't need to get a catcher's, complete catcher's the 3rd catcher or the emergency catcher. You don't need his complete set of, stuff, his
That's
armor.
awesome.
Yeah. Fad, stay
All right.
away from them, Danny, or ride them out. Don't promote them too heavily if you're making content because it's a reflection on you folks too. If you get behind something, and one of our compadres here at Hobby Think Tank is completely sworn off of that because he finds that it's just not worth the hassle, I guess.
Him and I had a long talk today about it.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Not everybody wants to have to worry about censoring or, you
Yeah, I mean,
know,
because you take on somebody else's problems, right, Danny? Like,
yep,
if you do this and that company does that, guess what?
yep.
It's now your problem.
Ah, we got it in. We got it in. That's a successful hobby think tank.
Oh, yeah. Pull the
All right.
plug, dude. DNR.
I'm gonna wrap it up, or we're gonna do it 2 more hours.
2 dos más
Does more.
horas. Sweet.
All right. So what do we decide? Stay off the lawn.
Stay off the lawn.
Turn the music down.
Don't yeah, you don't
Be home
yeah,
by 10.
don't buy body armor at baseball games. Come home with a nice helmet that your ice cream sundae came in. Don't come home with the bullpen catcher's jockstrap, okay? It's not a that'll come back in the divorce proceedings or the therapy session, so.
On that note, thank you, John. This was fun.
Thank you, Danny. Have a great day.
I can't. I'm
You gotta
lost.
get one, man.
I feel absolutely lost and inadequate right now.
Yeah, no worries, man. Let's go to Disney World.
You're hilarious. I'm gonna end this show. Thank you. I don't know who's on next week, but there will be 2
Okay.
people in this space. I feel like
having a hard time with my buttons over here.
I wasn't sure if there was another one coming.
No,
All
we're
right.
all good. See you, everybody.
See you guys.
Sorry wasting your time.
Yeah, only 38 minutes worth. Take care. See you.